I think Pac-Man Championship Edition pretty much became one of the most replayed and addictive games that you guys could ever play, which is something that this version, or at least its sequel, is not. And I'll explain why. Now, for this game, it came out on PS4, Xbox One, and PC before receiving a Plus version as a Switch exclusive. What the Plus version adds is its co-op mode. I think that's about it. But yeah, co-op mode is basically something new in terms of the Pac-Man Championship games, which I think is pretty cool that they included it. But unfortunately, there are some goods and there's some bads in this one. Well, let's start with the good stuff. This game has a mission mode known as Adventure Mode, which you can play through different missions, but the problem is it can get a bit hard at times, but I'll get to explain why soon. But there's also boss fights in that game as well. As a matter of fact, too, the good thing about this game, too, is that you can choose whichever maze stuff colors that you want. You can change the camera angle at different settings, and the Galaga and Dig Dug character palettes are also included instead of being locked in DLC, like certain developers seem to never learn from. But speaking of which, the good thing about this is that sometimes the fruit can actually run away from you, which is actually pretty cool. Makes it a little bit harder to try to complete each maze. It's not too hard, but at least it's in a fair, hard way, you know? Like in a fair way, to be exact. But what's weird about this is that when you go after the ghosts, you have to be directly in front of them instead of going behind them, which the problem too is that now I see why people don't like it, is that it makes the mazes just completely uncompletable at times. Because whenever you get the pallet, the big pallet to try to like get the ghost, you can't get the ones you're trying to get, which is completely dumb. I don't know why they thought it was a good idea, but this should have never been in there to begin with. They should have just given you the option if you want to prefer the old style gameplay or the new one, which again should have been there to begin with. But I will just say, trying to unlock adventure mode is not that hard. You have to complete a certain stage, and that's it. That's all you need to do. But in terms of this game itself, there's a couple different things here. They got score tag, which they have practice, single line, and also normal and hard mode, which, let me explain. The hard mode, you have lesser lives, so good luck trying to complete that one. But yeah, whenever you try to play this game in terms of trying to go after ghosts, you think you would get them because of their pattern, right? But when you go after them, they completely flip on you and be like, nope, that's not it. We're going the other way instead. Which, I get they wanted to be more challenging, but sometimes it makes this game be unplayable just because you just can't get the guys that you want. And it just doesn't make any sense, and trying to score at different ranks is also not that easy. But even when you save up lives and power-ups, you still tend to still get the same ranking regardless, so it doesn't really make any sense to me. Oh yeah, and speaking of abilities, well, remember the one in the original where you used the bombs? Well, this time, let's just say, let's ditch it and go for a jump button. Which doesn't make any sense to me, because for some weird reason, when you do that, it only resets you back to your original position as somewhat, which is really, really confusing. But in the mazes, they do have these jump pads where you go to the other part of the maze. It's sometimes good and sometimes it's bad. It really depends on the situation of the mazes. But I'll let that one slide. But controlling the Pac-Man is not that easy. You think you have everything in the Championship Edition, but in this one, I go left and he never goes left, and it doesn't make any sense. If you compare your time with the Pac-Man Championship Edition 1 to number 2, you'll see what I mean. It just doesn't make any sense to me and how they thought this was a good idea. But yeah, in terms of trying to get like different UI stuff, in terms of like different Pac-Man character like games, like the whole graphics and whatever, in terms of the palette characters, you have to unlock them, unfortunately. But hey, it's better than trying to pay them. That's a good sign. But there are some things that you should note too. Is like, the only way to unlock them is by completing all of the stages. But sometimes you have to try to go even far beyond it with an A rank, which can be nearly impossible, even on normal difficulty of all things. But again, this game should have been an upgrade. Instead, it just feels like a downgrade compared to its previous game. But I am glad that some future Pac-Man games seem to learn from this, because why are we still getting stuff mentioned about Championship Edition 1 when we all know the first game ended up getting a 8-bit remake of the regular Nintendo version? And also, we were able to get the Championship Edition elements in Shadow Labyrinth, which again, you guys should really check out if you guys are into Metroidvanias. Now, just because I got this game for free, and how I got it for free, well, one time Steam did a giveaway for free, so that was how I was able to get this one. But again, if you want the Plus version, then you'll need a Nintendo Switch in order to do such thing. It kind of boggles my mind as to how and why it isn't exclusive to there. But there are some different bundles on how to get the game itself. Now, for starters, there's a Pac-Man collection on Switch that comes with the Plus version of the Championship Edition 2. But other systems like PS4 and Xbox One also comes with the original version of Championship Edition that basically includes Pac-Man, Galaga, and Dig Dug, which the bundle makes sense because Dig Dug and Galaga palettes are in this game, like I mentioned earlier. But again, it may be fun at first glance, but once you keep playing it, it's just a boring version of Pac-Man Championship Edition. It should have done a lot more to improve the game, but instead, it becomes a huge downgrade. I know the footage may seem like it looks like I'm dying on purpose, but I guarantee you I am not dying on purpose. Trust me, when you get your hands on this, and if you're trying to go somewhere where you don't want to be, then don't blame me, because that's just how it is for some dumb reason. I don't know what happened, but I always feel like that they did something wrong with the controls in terms of the joystick functionality. Should have stuck with its original counterpart instead of trying to adapt to something new, which has been proven to be rather bad. But like I said, there's a reason why people would rather talk about the first game rather than the second game.